Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Life Enhancement and Development Live. I'm the CEO and host. Welcome. We thank you for joining us today. And today we have a continuation of our transformation series, Manifesting the Vision. We have with us today again transformation coach Bernadette Hicks-Kelly, the CEO of Effective Transformation Coaching. And for the past few weeks, we have been talking about what you need to do to manifest your vision. And she has been sharing some tools and strategies and empowerment words of encouragement for us the past 3 weeks to help us learn how to manifest our vision. We talked about the first session, we talked about the imagination and how important the imagination is in cultivating your vision. Then we talked about seeing the image and the vision and guiding your thinking and aligning your thinking with your vision that you want to see manifested in the natural. So we have a great session in store for you today, and she is going to share with us some strategies and tools on how to receive the manifestation of your vision. Bernadette, welcome. Thank you for joining us again today.
Thank you for the invite.
Yes, indeed. So I did a little recap of the topics that we have been talking about for the past 3 weeks on manifesting your vision, how to manifest your vision. And so you have been sharing some great tools and strategies with us, sharing some things that you do with your clients to help them move forward and see the results that they want in their lives. So today, I want you to share with us some strategies and tools that we can implement and apply to our own lives of how to receive the manifestation of your vision. I believe that this is a crucial point in the process, in the manifestation process, because this is the time when we encounter a point where we encounter adversaries both inwardly and outwardly to try to make us stay in that comfort zone, to settle and accept the norm. So there's an affirmation or that's very common, and it says, "I believe that I have received." What do you think about that affirmation, and what does it mean to you to receive?
Absolutely. I love that. First of all, I want to say I love that you said that some of the conflict is not just always outward, some of the conflict is inward. Some of the time
Mhm.
we're not manifesting or we're not receiving because of what's going on inside, not necessarily what's going on outside.
Mhm.
So, yes, I love the affirmation. And receiving for me is being open minded and believing that you're going to get it. Um, we know as children, as young adults, we are taught how to give. But we actually need to be taught how to receive because it can be one sided. I don't know if you've ever met those people where you're trying to do something nice for them and the whole time you're trying to do something nice, they say, no, don't do that. I don't need that. You don't have to do that because they don't know how to receive. They're so
Mhm.
used to giving. And most of the time they are huge givers. And
Mhm.
because they think that receiving makes you selfish. But receiving does not make you selfish because if
Mhm.
you're praying for increase and you're asking God to bless me, well, bless me and praying for increase means you got to be able to receive it. So
Mhm.
if you're
Yes.
if you're praying for that and it comes and you're saying no, you're giving off two different things. You're saying, okay, I'm praying, I'm open to receiving, but then when it comes, we say no because we're just used to giving all the time. So receiving has to be learned just as giving has to be learned.
Yes. And I had a big problem with that. And
Mhm.
giving wasn't a problem, but it seems like if somebody wanted to give me something, I would get this funny feeling like, oh no, no,
Yes,
no,
yes.
that's okay, that's okay, because I didn't want them to think that I was doing it for selfish motives
Exactly.
or selfish reasons. And so I would be like, no, 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 you don't have to do. And then sometimes too, pride. I don't
Yes,
want I don't
yes.
want anybody giving me anything. And I don't want nobody to think that I want something from them, or I'm being a leech, or
Or I
that
need something. I need you to do
or need
something for
something.
yes.
Yes,
No, that
yes.
goes back to what you were talking about earlier, having that is in your mind. It's not even what
Hmm.
the other person thought. It's just that's what your thoughts were like. No, and I think for me, Cassandra, it was I don't want to owe you anything. Like,
Right.
no, because I don't want to owe you. And just as you were saying, I'm not doing this because I'm expecting to receive something. I'm not giving you something always because I'm expecting to receive something. But there's a
Hmm.
balance between I'm not giving and expecting to receive. We got to find that balance where, you know what? I remember, I'm just going to talk church a little bit. I remember when we would talk about sowing seed or paying an offering or whatever, people say, sow a seed and don't expect anything back. That's so backwards. If you're sowing, you should expect something back. My expecting something back I'm not expecting it back from you, Cassandra, but I am expecting it back from God. I'm expecting God to bless me because I did sow a seed. But if we're saying, "Hey, I'm going to sow and don't expect it," that's not right. That's wrong. So wrong.
It
so
is.
we and we learned that and we pick up that because it sounds good in theory to give, and don't expect any. That's no. I do expect something back, but I don't expect it from you. I don't necessarily expect it from the person I gave it to, but I expect it from God because God's gonna do something so much greater than you ever could do for me.
Yes, and it's a false humility, really.
Yes. Great word. Yes. Because we tie again, tie humility to being broke. We tie humility to being poor. And they are so no, broke is not humility. Poor is not humility, not at all. Because I've met people who are broke and they're not humble. I've met people, I mean, they got so much pride and you're trying to tell them something, you're trying to educate them, and they got so much pride. No, I'm gonna do it my way. Don't you know your way not working? But
That's
so
right.
we cannot tie broke and humble because that does not make you humble. And I mean, pride can be in anybody on any level.
That's the truth. That's the truth. In anybody, or because it's a mindset, it's a
Yes,
perspective, it's a way of thinking. Absolutely.
absolutely.
So let's talk about what we were talking about, and I was talking about too, that funny feeling that I would get. And so let's talk about receiving and feel being worthy, feeling like you're worthy to receive. Can this affect a person's ability to receive if they think that they're not worthy or don't value who they are?
Absolutely. I think the first thing we have to question is, do you even realize that you're thinking you're not worthy? So some
Hmm.
people don't realize that mentally they are feeling like they're not worthy, even though they don't realize that that's what they're doing. So I'm gonna give an example of that on my own example. Like I said, I've told the story so many times of my one of my first clients, my first large client invited me to come out, and she kept referring to me as an expert. And I was like, I am not an expert. Every time I would hear her say it, I would cringe, like, I am not an expert. This lady keeps calling me an expert, and I am not. Now, I don't know what I was expecting in an expert, but I just felt like, even though I had the knowledge, I had all of this stuff, she saw it, but I didn't see myself as being an expert. So that goes back to that worth and that value. So, but the more she said it, the more open I came to that idea. Like, you know what? I am an expert, and I know this stuff, and I can do this with my eyes closed. But I hadn't told myself that I was an expert, and so I devalue what I brought. I knew I could do it. I mean, the lady had flown me out to California to come and do it for her. But again, the mindset of me having this knowledge and me being an expert in the subject, I hadn't called myself that. And therefore, I question the value. And when you question the value, that means when it's time to put a price tag on what you do, you question how much you're going to charge. So I
Hmm.
remember some of the things that I do now. I remember doing this for $25. And then I went to $30 because the more confident I got, we talked about being confident, but
Hmm.
by being consistent, now I became more confident. So now I really realized my value. But it took me to do it over and over and over. And it took me to hear it. talked about that last week, is you got to hear it in order to
Mm-hmm.
grow your faith. Like, this is who I am. Because if that's not, if whatever you're called to, if you don't believe that's who you are, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
always devalue that. So when someone say, "Hey, how much do you charge for me to come out, for you to come out and provide a service?" We're gonna always undervalue ourselves. So we'll be like, "Oh, I do $50 when we could charge $300." So $50 and $300, and you're talking about being in a wealthy place. Well, guess who's holding you up from being in a wealthy place? I'm holding myself up because I don't know my real value.
Right. I remember when I was in school and I was taking a calculus class, and I was doing pretty good in the class. And the professor came into my office one day, and he was saying, he called everybody by their last name. He said, "Washington, you are doing really well in my class." He said, "What do you think you should get out of my class?" The first thing that came to my mind was an A. But then I said, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to seem like I'm being high minded or what. And I said a B. And he walked up to me. He said, "Washington, you would never get what you deserve if you don't say what it is that you want or what you believe
Wow.
about yourself." And I said, I should have said A. And he gave me a B
Because that's what you asked for.
because that's what I asked for. But I didn't want it. I wanted it A. And I saw myself as I knew I was an A student, but because I didn't want to come across as think of myself being high-minded or thinking of myself more highly than I should, I settled, I lowered it.
Yes,
And we
yes,
do that. We don't receive what the abundance or receive who it is or embrace who we are because we don't want to seem like we are thinking more highly of ourselves than we should. But
absolutely.
you got to bring that thinking up. And
And we
I
talked about this before. We talked about how speak from your heart. Don't speak from
Mhm,
your mind. Because as we said, who I really am is in my heart. Your heart
mhm.
told you were an A student and you deserve the A student. But again, when you spoke from that mindset, well, maybe I better ask for a B because and it's a learned thing, just like
Mhm.
receiving. It's a learned thing to act and do things from your heart because your heart is who you really are. My heart is who I really am. And just as you were saying, before I speak, and I have something major coming up in about an hour, and I
Oh,
have been thinking and praying like, okay, Lord, this is what I'm going to ask for because just what you said initially, and I know the question is going to come up, but what's your feet?
mhm.
And so from this morning when I talked to this gentleman, he was like, "I'm gonna call you back at 2:30 and we're gonna have a conversation." So I was like, "Okay, Lord, when this man called me back, I gotta be ready to tell him some numbers." And immediately, just what you said, the mind was like, "Don't ask for too much. Don't say nothing crazy and miss out on this contract." Because you said, but I was like, "No, I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm gonna go with my heart." Because if we believe, and I just don't, I just thought this was so real for me today because we've been talking about faith and
Mhm.
believing in your faith, and we're talking about rebuilding, we're talking about all these things. And I was like, wow, this is to me first. And so I gotta walk in that faith in an hour. I mean, like really walk in that faith that I'm talking about. And so I wrote it on a piece of paper, Cassandra. I was like, just in case my mind be like, "Don't you do it, don't ask for it." I wrote it on a piece of paper. I was like, "I'm not chickening out. This is my number. And if you want me to get on that flight, this is what I need to have in this contract." So I'm like, "Come on, 2:30, because I'm ready today. Today is my day." Okay.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You're ready. You're ready to say it. Ready to
I
say
am
it.
ready. We talk about being prepared. Oh, I'm prepared today.
So I like to think of receiving, so you have already received that
Oh yeah.
amount. So I
Look,
like
I
to think.
received that in my mind, body, spirit, and soul. Look, I've been looking around the house like, "Oh, this is what I'm gonna do when I get that increase. This how much I've assigned that paycheck. Okay, I've already assigned that paycheck as to where it's going to go. We talk about manifesting. I put it on my prayer board back here, and I started assigning. Okay, when I start this, and when this happened, this I'm telling you, that's how we receive it. Is we manifest it as soon as we believe it, we receive it.
Yes. And so I like to think of receiving, Jack, you said, as soon as we believe it, we
Mm-hmm.
receive it. That's like that point of conception. It's the point where what you believe and what you see in your mind exists. It's just like
Absolutely,
a person that a woman who has conceived a baby. Now the baby
absolutely,
is in the womb, but the baby hasn't been birthed yet, but the baby is there. The baby is there.
absolutely.
And so you know the baby is there, you know the baby exists, and at some point that baby is going to manifest in the natural. So I think that's the way receiving, I in my mind, receiving is to me, is that
That's what receiving is to me.
I already have it. It is that point of conception. But you can't
Absolutely.
receive if you don't allow your thoughts and feelings and your words to connect to what you see. Why is it important? Why people have a hard time receiving, like we was just talking about? And can you talk about the importance of embracing the image of what you see and not suppressing it?
I think I think again, the importance of embracing what you see is this what you really want? You can embrace this when it's something that you really want. If you're just saying it again, we spoke about that a minute ago, how you said this really wasn't what I wanted, but I was too afraid to embrace it. I was too afraid to say what I really want. If you are start to suppress it, you realize like that's fear. Fear is
Mhm.
saying, for me, again, we're talking about this opportunity that I'm going to have in about an hour. Fear can easily step in and say, don't ask for it. Stay as close to broke as you can, and don't go way out there. Don't believe you can walk on the water today. So we have to embrace that I can do this. I can embrace I belong here. So I mean, if you want to be the CEO or the vice president of the bank, you got to first embrace that I do see myself doing this. I
Mhm.
believe I can do this, because if you don't embrace it, you're going to suppress it. Like, you're going to suppress those thoughts. You're going to suppress those dreams. And most, I call them dream killers. And most dream killers don't come from us. Most dream killers come from someone else saying something
Mhm.
to us. Um,
Mhm.
and we often use the example when we first left our jobs. You had to make up your mind that you were going to leave a 9 to 5 before you were able to become a business owner.
Right.
At one point, you didn't have to say, you know what, this paycheck every 2 weeks isn't working. This once a month paycheck isn't working. And I'm going to be brave enough to move forward, or you're going to suppress the idea of being a
Yeah.
business owner because of fear. So it's either embrace or suppress it and lose out.
Right. So you have to embrace it when those, we talked too about how your thought, you have to become so involved and totally so into what you're believing that your thoughts, your feelings, everything, your actions have to line up with what you see. And of course, those negative thoughts and things are going to come to say, who do you think you are that you can be that?
Absolutely.
And it's at
Absolutely.
that point you're going to have to decide, no, that's who I am.
Yes.
I totally agree. This is who I am. And so you begin to accept that. Because sometimes, people, and you were saying people coming around you and saying things, negative things, you think you so much. Who do you think you are? You think you're better than me. Oh, girl, when you start hearing those kinds of things, to me, that's when you know you're on the right track.
Absolutely.
That's
And
when
that
you know.
that creates that heart to receive. And then that's
Mhm.
another barrier that all of a sudden, now, if you're not careful, you let those things into your heart and you begin to question, where should I, be open? Should I be thinking like this? I remember this young man that I know, he wanted to move out to California. And when he got ready to move out to California, everybody was questioning, well, what are you going to do? And how are you going to do it when you get there? And these were some of the same people who had moved from one state to another state. How did you make it? You survived, right? And I think that becomes the issue is we forget that we did the same thing. And I'm
Mhm.
really careful, even with family members, friends, children. I'm careful when I talk to people not to discourage them. The first thing I ask them is, what's in your heart? What do you
Mhm.
want? Tell me what you want to do.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
God is everywhere. I know people like to put the fear of God that's in us. Like, is that what God wants you to do? Is that God? No, 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 no. God is everywhere. Jesus gonna be
Mhm.
with you. The Holy Ghost gonna be with you. He
Mhm.
everywhere. Everywhere you go. And
Mhm.
so I don't like it when people try to put the fear in people. So my question is, what do you want to do? Because if
Mhm.
you follow what you want to do, more than likely that's what God is telling you to do. Is
Mhm.
it going to be some difficult days? Yes, it's going to be some difficult days. Is it going to be some hard days? Absolutely. It's going to be some difficult days, and it's going to be some hard days. If you stay in Georgia, if you stay in Mississippi, you stay in California, wherever you stay, some days going to be difficult.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
why not live where you really want to live? Why not work
Mhm.
where you really want to work and have some difficult days? I don't want to be in a place I don't want to be and have difficult days. If I'm going to struggle, or have some
Mhm.
unhappy days or have some bad days, let me at least be in the place where I want to be and having those days and not being already in an unhappy place, because I don't think you can thrive when you're not where you want to be. I don't think you can really grow because you're not open to growth because you're struggling. And again, I just don't believe in struggle. I don't think we have to struggle for the things that we want. I don't think we have to struggle for the places we want to be. I think we got to get up and make a decision. I'm not saying it's not going to be difficult. I'm not saying you're not going to have some challenges, but to get up, the struggle comes again when you're struggling against the will of God and you already know the will of God. If we
Mhm.
move into that will of God, then we don't have those struggles. Those struggles again come when we are battling against His will because we're answering someone else's call. So if we answer the call of God, that solves that problem. But when we're trying to answer someone else telling us what to do, we're answering their call. We're not
Mhm.
answering our
Mhm.
call. We're answering their call.
Yes, because people want us to stay around what's comfortable for them.
Mhm.
Want you to continue to receive what's the norm. But
Absolutely.
when you decide that you want what you see and what he's showing you, then you're going to, and once you receive it, once you say, "Yep, that's me." I
That's
remember you talking about when you went to hear Samuel Chan and you heard him talking to, you know, speaking, and you said, "That's it.
I
That's
knew it.
that's
I
it."
knew it.
And
Absolutely.
on the session that we were on the other night with Pastor Herman Cole, he talked about his story when he came, when he was serving time in prison, and he saw these painters, and something just read. He said, "That's it." That
That's it.
And when he had the opportunity, when he came out, he started a business and is a very successful businessman today. So this brings me to my next question. When is it that you actually receive? Is it when the thing actually manifests in the natural, or is it before then?
It's before then.
Mhm.
Again, I think we answered that earlier. I think it's when I honestly believe it. Like when I honestly believe I've received it. Like I
Mhm.
have received it. I'm just now waiting for it to manifest. And receiving isn't receiving today and saying, okay, I believe this is for me. I got this. And then 2 hours from now saying, I don't know, maybe I'm not the best person. No, receiving and believing is this. This is who I am. This is my profession for the rest of the year. This is my
Mhm.
profession for the rest of the day. So there is no plan B. No, no. This the plan right here. This plan A, B, C, and all the way through Z. Ain't no B. Ain't no C's, D's, E's. So receiving is the moment I believe it. Matter of fact, I know it already happened because we're living in the supernatural. So for me, the moment I speak it and say, okay, this me right here. This is where I'm gonna be. So I'm gonna be sitting in this chair, I'm gonna be getting on that flight, I'm gonna be making X amount of dollars. I received it right then because I believe it. I'm just waiting for the phone call. I'm waiting for the contract to show up on my email so I can sign it, and then we good to go. Because I really honestly believe, even like house purchasing, I received my house when I made up my mind I wanted to be a homeowner. So then it
Mhm.
became, well, go find the home you want. Um, go find out where you want to live. It wasn't, the house wasn't going to show out. The house wasn't going to come to my old house. I was going to have to get up and go get the house I wanted. So, but I already had the house in my mind. I knew how many rooms I wanted. I knew what the backyard, what I wanted the backyard. I knew I wanted a basement, 2-car garage. I knew the community with the swimming pool and tennis court. I knew all of that. So, and all the moment I believed it, it happened. Because guess what? It manifested, but I had to go look for it. I had to go find it. It didn't show up. It didn't come to the mailbox. No, ma'am. They didn't send me 5 houses, be like, select these out of these 5 houses. No, I had to go look at a whole lot of houses in a whole lot of neighborhoods. And when I got to it, I said, this it right here. And I mean, some of the homes I loved. Some of the homes were perfect. They were everything, but there was something missing. I was like, oh, I don't like the neighborhood. I don't like how far it is from the airport. Kroger not right down the street. Where's Publix? Things were missing. But when I got to the right house, the one I want, it had every single thing that I asked for. And I was like, okay, this me. This me right here. And I don't need to look anymore. I don't need to do anything. Okay, I'm ready. Let's put the contract on it. And we were ready to go. Did some hiccups come? Yes, hiccups came, issues came up, but I wasn't moving. And they were like, well, do you want to look? Nope. I didn't want to look at it anymore. It's like, I said, stop all the emails, stop stuff from coming. I'm getting too many emails. I'm done. This is it. I'm moving in this house. And I even had a time for Sandra. I was driving them people crazy. I promise you. I was like, is it going to be done in 30 days? It's going to be done in 14 days. She's like, Bernadette, we're going to get you there in 14 days. I was like, okay, if you say 14 days, I'm expecting to be in there 14 days. She's like, we're going to get you there in 14 days. I'm thinking by day 2, they probably regretted they ever told me 14 days because I was like, okay, I'm counting down 13, 12, 11. Because now I was ready to move. But months before that, Cassandra, I was cleaning out my old house. I was packing up. I was giving stuff away. I was like, I'm getting ready to move. I'm packing up. I'm purchasing a house. 2020, I was packing up. I was cleaning up. I was telling people I was moving. I didn't see the house. I hadn't seen this house yet. But I believe that I was moving because I received it and I accepted. I'm moving. I'm getting a new house. And yes, I absolutely believe that we receive the moment we believe it.
The moment we believe it. The moment you believe it, because the moment you believe it and you receive it, that this is it, it's mine, you're going to galvanize into action. You're going to start doing some things that's in line with what you believe that you have.
Absolutely.
Believe you have. So tell me, will you share with us some strategies, or what exercises do you take your clients through who have a problem with receiving?
First, I want to know, why do you have a problem with receiving? So that's always my first question: is why is that a problem? Why do you say, oh no, not me, not me? Why not you? So I want to first know, why not you? Because that's a learned behavior. You weren't born with why not me, because as children and as babies, we took and gave and said thank you, right? So somewhere between being a child and, because if someone gave you candy, it's like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. They gave you toys, oh, thank you. You never say no. You didn't say no. If you said no because your parents say, oh, don't take it, don't give her that, it's not because you wanted to say no. Someone taught you to say no. So now my thing is, let's re-educate you on saying yes. So what I do is tell them, start saying small yeses. Say if someone said, well, I want to take you to lunch, say okay, and be okay and let them pay. If someone wants to send you a birthday gift, they say, well, I'm going to send you something for you. Don't say no. Practice not saying no. I know we always often say, learn to say no. But sometimes there's times when we need to practice not saying no. Practice saying okay. So if someone wants to do something for you, just start really small, saying, okay. If they say, you know what, today I'm going to watch your child for you for 2 hours. Okay. Most times like, no, I'm going to pay you, I'll pay you. No, if they say they want to do it free, say okay. And just taking small steps and teach you how to receive. And at the end of the day, I think for my business clients, I tell them, write yourself the check that you want to receive every month. So if you know you want to receive $50,000 a month, if you keep telling everyone, well, you ain't got to pay me for that, don't worry about that, that's free for you. Guess what? You're never going to get there.
That's right.
So every day, count off, hey, I could have made $1,000 today, but I didn't because I told everybody no. So by the time they get to the end of the month and I say, well, did you make $50,000? Well, no. Keep practicing until you get to that $50,000 mark. Well, some say 30,000, or some say 20,000 or 2,000, whatever. Whatever you need to make that month, learn to say yes until you get to that dollar amount. And so if someone say, hey, don't pay for this, okay, that means that saves you $50. So if you do that, add that $50 to your $2,000 to reach your $2,000 goal, because normally you would have paid that, or normally you wouldn't have accepted that. So if someone is going to come in and clean my house free, and I normally pay $400 to have that done, then they say, well, I'm going to do it free for you. That means I saved $400, right? So now I'm going to add that to my $2,000 goal. So now I got $400. So the more you do that, the more comfortable it gets to you that you can say yes, and it's okay. And that's how you're going to learn how to receive, because you got to now re-educate your mind on receiving and not always being the giver. You got to find that balance where it's okay, because if you're praying for increase, you got to be able to recognize when increase comes.
Yeah.
I remember talking to one lady, and she was like, I prayed the whole time. I was asking God in 2020, I want a financial increase, and I never did get a job. I never got a job. But how many stimulus checks did you get? You got all these stimulus. I was like, did you get like 2 or 3 stimulus checks? She was like, yeah, it's about 8 to 10,000. Yes. I said, so in your mind, you were thinking, if I don't work for this money, I didn't get increase. I said, but you did get increase. It came to you in the form of stimulus checks, and you didn't even have to work for it. I was like, we get so set on expecting the God to work one way or 2 ways, and when it doesn't happen that way, we miss it. Like, you did get increase. You got the financial increase. Now, if you wasted your increase, that's all you. And I was this is so crazy. I was watching something on Instagram this morning. Something came up, and the lady, I hope I can say it right. It was hilarious. They said, it was about being hot. They said if you took your stimulus check and you bought crab legs, then you're the one that's boiling if you didn't get your AC fixed. So again, if you didn't do what you were supposed to do with your stimulus check, then you're the one that's boiling. So if you've been talking about starting a business, and if I have some capital and they won't give you the loan and all this kind of stuff, and you took your stimulus check and bought TVs and shoes and hats, and now Amazon got all your money, that's on you. You have the money. You just decide to give your startup money to Amazon. So yeah, so I think it's just looking for things in a different way. We got to really pay attention, and that we don't get our mindset that if it doesn't happen this way, then I didn't get it. Actually, you did get it. You just didn't take advantage of it. I remember there was programs out here. If you couldn't pay your electric bill, if you couldn't pay your rent, and now if you didn't take time to fill out the application and you still struggle to pay your rent, that's your fault. And well, I didn't know. But I don't know is not an answer. I didn't know it's not an answer. Do the research. If you need help in whatever area, you can't use the excuse, I didn't know. They didn't tell me. Who is they? First of all, let's establish who is they. Who owe you that information? You owe that information to yourself. So you got to get out and do the research. So if you're hearing about programs, then get on the computer, call your cousin, niece, auntie, whoever know how to use computers, and let them help you do the research. But I didn't know, and they didn't tell me, is a poor excuse. I just, those two I can't do. I can't do those two. I cannot.
Yes, so those, you've given some great things to have as takeaways today. Talking about receiving. First of all, we have to get past this feeling of I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve it, or I haven't done anything to earn it, to be worthy of this. But yes, you are. You're worthy. You need to know from the very beginning that you are worthy. Why not you? Why you can't be an entrepreneur? Why you can't be a millionaire or billionaire? Why not? It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter because your family didn't have any money. Why can't you? Why can't you go back to school and get a degree? Why can't
And
you get married and have a family?
with you saying that, Cassandra, about not having the money, your family, we don't even know all of our history. So we don't know. So maybe if that thought is in your mind, maybe great, 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 great grandma did own something. And you didn't, because we don't know all of our history, and all of our history didn't get passed down. There's a reason that's in your heart. There's a reason that's in your mind. If we could really trace our history back, maybe that was a part of your bloodline and it got lost. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's trying to come back alive through you. So maybe that's the reason it's tugging on you, so because you're the person that's supposed to bring that back to life. I really believe that this is a time of rebuilding for us. And rebuilding doesn't necessarily mean that it's us. Maybe I'm rebuilding for my family. Maybe I'm rebuilding for my bloodline. That something got lost. And, I know I've been hearing different stories about Georgia and other towns where Black ownership, they own their communities, they own land, they own houses and stores, and they all got burned down to the ground. But who knows if we were tied to some of those people? And now it's time for us to go back and rebuild. And God is saying, okay, it's your time to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the story of Naaman in the Bible. It's like, okay, he rebuilt from his ancestors. He didn't know anything about Jerusalem. He didn't know anything about that. But he had that burden. And so maybe that burden being on either one of us is because our ancestors used to
Mm-hmm.
own this. They used to have this. And now it's time for us to take time to rebuild this. I believe that.
Right, exactly. And we shouldn't be we shouldn't be influenced by our environment, where we
No.
came from, or what is going on around us now. What is it that's in your heart? What is it that you see? What is it that's being pressed upon you? Don't let where you come from or what's around you influence you. Receive it. Say, yeah, oh, this is me. Oh,
It's
yeah.
me.
Do you see yourself speaking before millions of people? Do you see yourself singing on the stage? Do you see yourself traveling to foreign countries, doing whatever it is that you see? Once you believe it, embrace it, it's already happened. You have to embrace it. And so, those were some great takeaways. You have to, in order to receive it, you have to get past this feeling of I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve it. Yes, you do.
Yes, you
Yes,
do.
why not you? Accept it. Accept it. And then, once you believe it and receive it, start galvanizing into action. Act
Yeah,
upon what you see, because receiving happens before you see it in the natural. It
absolutely.
happens before you see it in the natural. Then the last thing that you said, take baby steps. What you said is so true. I used to hate for people to pay for my meals. I'm like, no, I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it. But I had, and there was
Yeah.
Cassandra, will you please? And it's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's so I can just imagine how frustrating it is to God when He's trying to give us something and show us who we are, and we're like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want. I can't be there. Yes, you can.
Yes, you
Yes, you
can.
can. Embrace it, receive it, and next week we're going to talk about speaking it. Because once you
Absolutely.
believe
I
it,
love it. I love
once
it.
you receive it, then you're gonna start saying it. People may
Yeah.
call you something else. You're gonna say, "Oh no,
That's
no,
not who I
no,
am.
that's not who I am.
Mm. I'm not a medical laboratory technologist. No, no.
I'm an expert." Like the lady was saying, "I'm an expert." So
That
next week,
became my new language. I am an
I'm an
expert. So
expert.
anything I do now, I tell people, well, I'm an expert in that. So, I need that paycheck to come along with this expertise.
So we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about speaking who you are, letting your mouth align with who you are. And so thank you so much for the things that you shared with us today, these tools you shared with us today. Bernadette Hicks-Kelly, transformation coach.
Thank you. I'm always excited to be here.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. And in case you missed it, we're going to replay this evening at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. So you'll have an opportunity to hear these tools and strategies again. Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a great, great day.